Hi, welcome to Nina in the Kitchen, where today I am taking a request from my lovely niece, Juliana. Jules is in North Carolina in a nursing program, and she's going to graduate in December, and we're so proud of her. So she asked me to make pesto, and I thought that was a great request because, you know, when you have a lot of basil, all of a sudden you just have this big crop. What do you do with it all? So I'm going to show you how to make a traditional pesto. But then I also want to talk about how you can store it for the winter. So let's get started. Pesto is traditionally made with cheese, nuts, garlic, and some olive oil, and a little bit of salt. So if you're going to store it for the winter, what I do is I partially make the pesto and I freeze it in these little ice cube trays, pop these out, put them in a Ziploc freezer bag, and then you can use them all winter long, and I'll show you how to do that first, and then we'll do the pesto. You want 2 good handfuls of basil leaves. That's going to be about 2.5 cups that are really packed. You get your good olive oil out for this. Pesto is a raw sauce, so because you eat it directly, you take out your good stuff. So you just turn this on, and that's it. Now you can do this, you can make pesto in a blender. The best way to go is a food processor if you have one, but if not, that's okay. So the big bowl in the food processor only yielded, didn't even go quite to a full ice cube tray, but that's okay. I just want to show you what I do is I just want to make sure that this is covered with oil. And then this goes right in the freezer. This is the best way that I have found to store pesto. And pesto means to pound. So anything that's pounded like this, it's more of a generic term more than it is a recipe. So with basil, basil doesn't really hold up well in the freezer unless you do it this way. And you can use these ice cubes, if you will, for things like soup. If you're making a vegetable soup and you want a little bright flavor of summer, put that in. You can use it in pizza sauce, pasta sauces. You can take this out and use this in seafood dishes. Oh goodness, put it on a sandwich as a sandwich spread. So anyway, this is going into the freezer to be used later in the winter. Now back to the other pesto. Now pesto, like I said, is kind of a generic term. So it doesn't have to be basil. You can make pesto with parsley, actually carrot tops. You know, those carrot tops that you buy sometimes on carrots, cut them off, make a pesto out of that. It's delicious. My favorite pesto is half spinach, half arugula with walnuts. And you put that over a pasta, it's fabulous. So there's a lot of ways to go. Now, whenever you're using a blender or a food processor, the heaviest food, the most dense food should go in first to get chopped. So the first thing we're going to do is put in some, I have this is 2 ounces of a mixture of Parmigiano Reggiano and a Pecorino Romano. So that goes in. The other thing about putting these harder, more dense foods in first is that if you beat an herb like basil or parsley, you're actually going to, the blade moves so fast that you're actually going to heat the food up, and you don't want to do that. Basil goes in last, and not for all that long, just until you get it pounded out. Next up is 1 clove of garlic, and this is a half cup of pine nuts. You can toast them or not. You can use another nut. It doesn't have to be pine nuts. And now if you can see that, it's finely chopped. Beautiful. And now another 2 cups of packed basil. I'm just grabbing them 2 hands full. I'm going to add some salt. This is a great place for a salt that has a large granule. Maybe a sea salt. So now we'll whiz that up and pour enough olive oil in make a sauce. And that's pesto. It smells really good. Oh man, really smells good. The classic thing to do is to take this and toss it with a pasta or gnocchi, and it's delicious. But like I said before, there are other things you can do with it. It's a very versatile food. You can mix and match the flavors, the herbs, and the nuts, and just have a great time with it, Jules. Love you. Mwah. Thank you so much for watching Nina in the Kitchen. See you next time. Bye, guys.